This time I want to talk about the editors that are inside Skyline development system. These are all the editors and things that bring together the full development system itself. You've got the asset store where your assets live. To put a model onto the scene, you just click and drag. To import directories of models or anything like that, you click there and you convert XPX files, change the scale, materials, convert to high quality textures. You can actually convert to materials for every texture, and there's tooltips for all of them. This one is if you've got several models selected, you can change the scale of the selected models. This one, you can rotate them. You've got the filter here, so you can filter what you're looking for. Like if you take off mesh files, all the meshes are gone. If you're not looking for textures, take textures off, on, things like that. And this is the directory list of your assets. Asset store library even, sorry. From here you can recreate the main project, the main resource list, or a project list. You can check for duplicate resources as well. Next one is the GUI editor. I'm actually missing the panel off here, which basically loads in your graphical user interfaces and your HUDs, and you can create them all using HTML. And you've got the help here, snippets of code, events, and the APIs that are open to us, like load scene, stuff like that. Next one, you've got the material editor, so I'll select one of these meshes down here. We've got the material editor, which brings up the material for the actual mesh itself. You've got your diffuse here, your brightness settings. That's for the bottom of the wall, that's for the top of the wall, two different materials inside them. And you've got your normals, speculative, and you've got your reflections. So if there's any buildings here, say it's a plane that's very reflective, it'll reflect the buildings around it. You've got several types of the actual material here. You've got the basic, which isn't actually on here, which is just your diffuse texture. Your advanced, which is these three, specular, normal, and your diffuse. And you've got your other, which is N3 plus reflective now. You've got other options in here, which is your material level of detail, distance, how far can you see it from. You've got other base materials, things like alpha smooth, alpha reject, things like that, custom material, use depth buffer, alpha buffer, things like that. You've got your image-based lighting settings here. You've got your alpha blend and alpha reject. For your alpha reject is used for things like leaves on trees. It rejects the alpha, so it looks like the leaf is just showing and the rest of it's gone invisible. That's not implemented yet. Then you've got your diffuse map UV animation, your normal map UV animation. There will be eventually a generate normal map for, say, you bought a model with just a diffuse map. You'll be able to generate a normal map. You've got other options here like refresh the material, save as save, things like that. I'm not sure if that's implemented yet. Mesh editor. So basically, I've got a mesh selected in the scene, so bring that in. It brings it up in the mesh editor. Now, if this was a character or biped or anything, you could actually import the animations here, in here, from what the town from, town to, run, walk, and things like that. Up here, you've got your mesh details, name of it, location, dimensions, how long it is, depth, things like that. You can set the offset, angles, scale, things like that from here. In this one, you'll have your level of detail set up. So I've just clicked it 3 times, 3 level of details. Each one, you can set up the distances, things like that. For it gets more detailed as you get closer to it. And then put it back into your scene. I think. Which one is it? Save it in that. Editors, nav mesh editor. Building nav mesh, remove it. Entities, you've got your tests here to see if it's for debugging purposes. The normal stuff. Script editor. Like new script, you've got your normal syntaxes here, like new function, join strings, blah blah blah. You've got your if statements and things like that, loops, all that sort of stuff. You've got your events, like your sensors, target exit, target stays in the sensor, target enters the sensor. You've got code modules like raycast from objects. That's going to be. You've got your API functions which are open to us, where you'll find your game states. Yeah. So, while the game's paused, write your code, things like that. Set game state. Let's just come up with here actually, because I can set it on the mouse position. Set game state, so you're going to set it to game state, main game, or if you've got a user defined one, put your user defined one in there. What else have we got on here? Entity, 10, spawn an entity, set the position of an entity, role, things like that. You've got physics, so you can actually code for in here. And you've got your, if you click validate your script, it'll come up with the LAN number and the message of the error that it's actually it's on, which you can find from here. You can find, search for text, stuff like that. Go to a LAN number, things like that. On the right here, you've got all the functions that you've actually got in your script. I can put that one in first. It's just an easier way to go. Find stuff in your code. So if you've got pages and pages and pages, 1,000 lines and whatever, and you're looking for a certain function, you look down your list. Oh, that's the one I want, and it'll take you straight to it. And all you do is just save it, and it'll automatically update the entity that the script is attached to. It will update it for you. And you've got your shadow editor, so how your shadows look. I don't know how this is going to change with the Generation 2 with DirectX 11 coming out soon. So you got your fade start, fade end, colorations of it, and just all different things like that. You got your train, shadows. It's all customizable quite easily through its own editor, so you don't have to code it yourself. You just refer to what changes you made in your code. You've got the environment editor, which is makes life nice and easy. So you want to create your own skybox. Think of it as you're sat in a cube with 6 sides around you. You've got forward, left, right, back, top and down. So you'd have different pictures for that, and you'd save it. So we'll change it to Meadow. Shall we have meadow? Yeah. So pretend that this ground plane here is actually a nice terrain that you've made, and you've got the meadow behind it, the skybox behind it. Next, we've got the dynamic sky, which disables your skybox, but gives you dynamic time of day. So it looks through night and day. Speed that by putting the value in the multiplier here. As you can see, it's the star field, and it'll come to daytime soon. Here we go, morning, there's the sun rising. Right, daytime, you can change all of these options here to reflect what you want. If it's an alien landscape or something like that, you might have a different sunlight coming out of it. Things like that. Same with night time, you can choose a different texture for the night. Instead of having stars, you might have something else. Do the same for the moon. Moonlight creates shadows, set the colour, speculative amount of the moon, things like that. We've got planar clouds, where you can add several layers. You see the planar clouds? They're for high altitude clouds. Now for each layer you can change the options. Volumetric clouds, enable them, which gives you nice clouds will come across. Obviously you can slow them down through the general day speed multiplier. You can add more or less here. You can even add lightning effects to it. Obviously it'll look better as it's if it's slower. Set the humidity of it, height. And you've got all these here to play with. Next is the ocean system. Turn that on for now. Now, with a lot of game engines, especially indie ones like this, the water looks like this, where to me that doesn't look very good. So what you can do is hit smooth. Look how much better that looks. You can change the height of the water, so you're underwater now. What else is there? On here you've got your performance aspects here, like smooth transitions, underwater reflections, God rays when the sun's out, it's hitting the water, you've got God rays underneath it, things like that. Different settings for the waves. How the sun looks from underneath the water. You can set the depth and everything in the ocean system. So that's pretty good. A quick rundown. And you got height fog, which basically adds fog to your scene. And you've got a nice option here, the atmospheric scattering. So you can make it look like it's real foggy, or the fog's just coming. Things like that. How close it is to you. You've got quite a bit of power in there with the options. What are we on to next? Spline Path. Now, Spline Path editor is very simple to use. Extremely simple. It's good for your things like creating creating paths for, say, if you've got a city scene or say walls like this, and you want them to your NPCs to patrol a certain area, like if there's a wall there, there's a building here, or whatever, you want it to go around the building, in between buildings, things like that. You can do that all with this. So you select your path, add a node, and simply click. Now that'll walk around the building and things like that. Allow them to walk around the building, or a single line. So they start there, stop there. This is also very, very good for cutscenes, cameras, things like that. So, for instance, you want your camera to look at these buildings as it's going around. It's explaining what it is. It stops there because it's looked at the building and explained like you've got to escape or whatever. Then switches to another camera and rotates again. Rotates around something else, explaining what it is. Then after this, after it gets to the end of here, then you can say, right, I want to start the game. So that from there, it will go to, say, your play mode. So you can get it to zoom into your actually player, and you're playing the game. That is very good for that. You can alter the colour of it so it's more visible, showing the game as you're testing it, so you can debug any faults or anything. What's happening? Say if you've got an NPC and it's hitting a wall over here somewhere, why is it straying so far? Things like that. When it's working correctly, you could turn it so it's not visible at all, and get on to the next one. You've got your spline resolution, which the more I put it up, you can see down here that bend isn't as sharp. That means that your camera is going to move a lot smoother around that bend. What else have we got on here? It rotates node. So you see you've got a camera what's looking straight down here. And when it gets to here, instead of looking still down this way, or here, looking here, you can get the camera to rotate to where it's going, so it's always facing the same direction as what it's travelling. You've got roll speeds. Yeah, you'll figure that bit out. What we've got now? Talk about that later. Weapon editor. So you can add your weapons in here. And you've got your mesh file name, offset. You want it on the screen, so if you want your weapon to be here, you put your offset there. Rotate the model slightly, or things like that. If you want it up here, so you've got the easy option of putting it in there. The range of the projectile, so how far it goes before it disappears. The damage of the projectile. And you've got the velocity of the projectile here. Ammo. How many rounds have you got on you? How many clips can you carry at once? Auto shooting, is it single shot? Yes, no. Single shot, how much time do you require between each shot? So it's boom, 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 or boom, 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 firing. Reticle sights, so you can put a crosshair on the screen, things like that. If you want to be able to see your bullet flying, you've got your tracer here. And you can also add a muzzle flash there. Sound effects is shot sound, so what's it's going to sound like when the weapon's fired, the volume, the reload sound, and what sounds it make on an empty clip. You ran out of ammo. And you've got your animations. What's it look like when you're idle and you just stood there? Does it sway side to side? Like, oh, I'm waiting. Walk. Does it move up and down while you're walking? Run animation with it. Reload animation. Melee attack with your rifle, where you can hit somebody with the butt of the rifle. When you select this weapon, what animation does it do? When you put it away, what animation does it do? When you're zooming in to enter the sights, leaving the sights, and what animation does it do when you're shooting from the sights? And then you've got the reload time and melee time it takes. And all of this information that you put in here It's accessible through Lua, through the script editor in Lua. You can also access it through the Visual Mechanic, the Visual Mechanic editor. It's a lot like UI's one, Unreal Engine's one. So yeah, it's all accessible through Recode. It keeps it nice and clean and easy to use. And you've got your schematics editor, which is used for artists, people who don't know how to code a lot. Let me open you one up to show you. Which is a good one. Spawn, move, and delete. That's a good one to show you. So you've got game begin. Game begin. Is the mesh dead? Yes. It's began. So we'll get the information from it. So you've got your vector 3. That's your place in the world. That's your initial position. You've got the range. That's the range from you. And it's going to spawn whatever mesh name you put in there. It's going to use whatever material you put in there. And once it's spawned, you're going to get it to move. So what speed are you going to get it to move at? What axis are you going to move it at? And what distance? And when it's moved that distance, it's going to delete it. And then respawn and go through the process again. Very similar to UI's. Just to show you how easy it is, it's just drag and come here. To use, it's just drag and drop. That's how easy it is. Drag and drop. So there we go. That's a very brief overview of just some of the editors that they've actually got in the development system at the moment. There is going to be more like a quest system, a level editor. There's absolutely loads. There's going to be access to the networking side of things, so you don't have to code it all yourself. It's all actually in the development system itself. There's so much going into it. It really is.